So I want to introduce you to a friend of mine who understood this fairly clearly, and you guys will appreciate what it is I'm about to show you, given the space within which you work. His name is Kay. My good friend Kay grew up in this small village called Alana, on the outskirts of a town called Idua in Ghana. When he was 11 years old, his father lost his job, and his mom and dad went to an auction of a firm that was closing down in this town of Idua, and they bought him an AT&T Pentium 1 computer. So he tells me the story. He says, Vusi, my mom and dad came home. They gave me the computer. I took it, polished it clean, and I put it there on my dressing room table for all my friends to see. I said, why are you telling me this? He says, because that's what we do with our talents. We put them there, but we never use them. At 13, forced by circumstance, things were really tough at home, he went and got a job in this town of Idua, in a small bank, a small regional bank that had its offices and its head office based in Accra. But he was quite astute, my good friend Kay. He went to a local village school in the town of Kiberalana of Idua. And it was quite astute. When he started working at the bank, he used to work only every Saturday. He tells me the story. He says, I would get to the bank and the bank manager would give us notepads. Would you believe it? Notepads. And in the notepad, we had to write the date, the ID number of the customer, the value of the transaction, and whether or not it was a withdrawal or a deposit. Why? Because the branch manager could not bring himself to trust us. And so I worked it, and every single Saturday, we used to write the value of the transaction. Says that's not what blew me away. At the end of each business day, we had to give him our notebooks. He would sit through the night on the Saturday, and he would input the transactions into the system manually. I said, really? He says, yes, but Vusi, you've not heard the worst of it. The IT system that we're using was so backward, it would not update the IT system at head office, not for 48 hours at a time. So in essence, the big boss sitting in Accra had no idea how much cash he had in the system, not for 2 days at a time. So I remembered, Mom and Dad bought me a computer. He went to the local library in this town of Idua. His story is so powerful, it's quite poetic. He went to the local library in this town of Idua. He picked up a few books on computers. One of them happened to be a book on coding. And he began slowly a process of teaching himself how to write code. Over a 2-year period, he dedicated himself to writing code that would essentially mean the bank could now have a system that would update its P&L by the minute, every minute. At 15, he completed that solution and he sold it to the bank. I think his story is particularly powerful because I want you to consider this. But what you're looking at on the screen was the home from which he wrote that solution. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about the blue, slightly aesthetically pleasing part. I'm talking about the shanty looking place. He sold the bank that solution. This is back in 2001 for $93.7 million US. There is no question about whether or not you and I in this continent have the kind of people who have the potential to do this at numbers. Mark Zuckerberg isn't anything extraordinary in the African continent. We have Zuckerbergs walking all over. The only difference between he and they is they don't have the opportunities he's had. Our job, yours and mine today, is to create the spaces for that talent to flourish. That's it. If you're wondering who my good friend Kay is, this is him. His name is Kenny Andam. Ladies, very single but unavailable. And he is an entrepreneur extraordinaire.